Please consider supporting our channel by liking this video and subscribing for more content. Top zombie movies of all time. In the realm of horror and apocalyptic fiction, few creatures have captivated the imaginations of audiences quite like zombies. These undead beings, driven by an insatiable hunger for human flesh, have become iconic figures in popular culture, inspiring a vast array of movies that explore the depths of human survival, fear, and the fragility of civilization. From the shambling hordes to the relentless pursuit of the living, zombie movies have carved out their own niche within the horror genre, captivating audiences with their chilling narratives and thought-provoking themes. Throughout this video, we will delve into key landmarks of the genre, from George A. Romero's seminal Night of the Living Dead to modern blockbusters like World War Z and critically acclaimed films such as Train to Busan. We will examine the recurring themes and motifs that define zombie movies, such as the breakdown of social order, the exploration of morality in dire circumstances, and the exploration of what it truly means to be human. By delving into the world of zombie movies, we not only embark on a thrilling journey through the annals of horror cinema but also gain insights into the human condition, our fears, and the resilience of the human spirit. So, brace yourself for a bone-chilling exploration of zombie movies, where we will unravel the mysteries, delve into the darkness, and emerge with a deeper understanding of the genre's enduring allure. Get ready to immerse yourself in a world where the dead walk the earth and survival is a matter of life and death. Welcome to the realm of zombie movies. Top zombie movies of all time. Number 1. Night of the Living Dead, 1968. Night of the Living Dead, released in 1968 and directed by George A. Romero, is a seminal zombie film that revolutionized the horror genre. Set in rural Pennsylvania, the movie follows a group of survivors who find themselves trapped inside a farmhouse, fighting for their lives against an inexplicable and relentless onslaught of the undead. The story begins as Barbara and her brother Johnny visit their father's grave in a remote cemetery. Suddenly, they are attacked by a strange, ghoulish figure. Johnny is killed, and Barbara manages to escape, seeking refuge in an isolated farmhouse. Inside the farmhouse, Barbara encounters Ben, another survivor who has barricaded himself from the outside world. As they try to comprehend the terrifying events unfolding around them, they discover other survivors hiding in the basement, a married couple named Harry and Helen Cooper, and their injured daughter Karen. The group must now work together to devise a plan for survival. As the night progresses, tensions rise within the farmhouse. Ben emerges as the de facto leader, advocating for barricading the doors and windows while Harry insists on hiding in the basement. The radio and television broadcasts reveal that the dead are returning to life and consuming human flesh, and the only way to kill them is by destroying their brains. Outside, the numbers of the undead continue to grow, and the survivors find themselves besieged by an ever-increasing horde of zombies. They face internal conflicts, with Harry's cowardice and selfishness clashing with Ben's determined leadership. Meanwhile, Karen, who has been bitten by a zombie, gradually succumbs to the infection and becomes a threat to the others. As the night draws to a close, the farmhouse becomes overrun with zombies. In a desperate attempt to escape, Ben fights his way through the undead, managing to reach the basement. However, he is shot by Harry, who has cowered in fear all along. The next morning, rescue teams arrive to exterminate the remaining zombies, mistaking Ben for one of them. The film concludes with an iconic and shocking final scene, where Ben's lifeless body is dragged away and burned along with the other corpses. The media and authorities portray the events as a necessary response to a crisis, highlighting the tragic irony that Ben, an African-American protagonist, was ultimately mistaken for a zombie and eliminated. Night of the Living Dead is not only a chilling tale of survival against the undead but also a social commentary on racism, consumerism, and the breakdown of society. It has had a profound impact on the horror genre, establishing many of the tropes and conventions associated with zombie movies and inspiring countless filmmakers to explore the potential of the undead in their own works. Number 2. Dawn of the Dead, 1978. Dawn of the Dead, released in 1978 and directed by George A. Romero, is a classic zombie film and a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. The movie takes place in a world overrun by hordes of the living dead and explores the struggles of a group of survivors as they seek refuge in a shopping mall. The story begins with chaos engulfing society as the dead inexplicably rise and prey on the living. A small group of survivors, including Fran, Stephen, Roger, and Peter, managed to escape from the city in a helicopter, seeking a safe haven away from the urban centers. They eventually discover an abandoned shopping mall and decide to secure it as their sanctuary from the undead. The group clears out the zombies from the mall and establishes a system to live comfortably within its walls. They barricade the entrances, set up living quarters, and scavenge supplies from the various stores. As time passes, tensions arise within the group. Fran is pregnant and concerned about the future, while Stephen becomes increasingly interested in material possessions available in the mall. Roger, a SWAT officer, becomes more reckless in his efforts to kill zombies. Peter, the level-headed member of the group, tries to maintain order and keep everyone focused on survival. Outside the mall, the world continues to deteriorate, with news broadcasts showing the collapse of society and the government's inability to contain the zombie outbreak. The survivors witness the arrival of a biker gang led by a ruthless man named Blades, who tries to take control of the mall by force. A violent conflict erupts between the bikers and the survivors, resulting in the deaths of some group members. Despite the external threats, the survivors manage to reclaim the mall and reinforce their defenses. They enjoy a brief respite from the horrors outside, indulging in the material comforts and luxuries provided by the mall. However, their sense of security is shattered when a large horde of zombies eventually breaks through their defenses. In a desperate attempt to escape, Fran, Peter, and Stephen decide to flee the mall in the helicopter. Roger, who has been bitten by a zombie, sacrifices himself to provide a distraction for the others. As they take off, they leave behind the mall and everything it represents. The film concludes with Fran, Peter, and Stephen finding a secluded farmhouse to make a new home. They reflect on the tragic state of the world and the constant threat of the undead, acknowledging that surviving in such a world requires constant vigilance and adaptation. Dawn of the Dead is not only a thrilling and visceral horror film but also a biting social commentary on consumerism, the decay of society, and the lengths people will go to find security and comfort. It further solidified George A. Romero's legacy as a master of the zombie genre and remains a highly influential film within the horror canon. Number 3 Day of the Dead, 1985. Day of the Dead, released in 1985 and directed by George A. Romero, is the third installment in his iconic zombie film series, following Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. The movie presents a bleak and claustrophobic tale set in a post-apocalyptic world where the remnants of humanity struggle to survive against the relentless onslaught of the undead. The story takes place several years after the zombie outbreak has decimated civilization, with only small pockets of survivors remaining. A group of scientists and military personnel have taken refuge in an underground military bunker in Florida. Dr. Sarah Bowman, a scientist, forms a tenuous alliance with the military, led by the tyrannical Captain Rhodes, in an attempt to find a solution to the zombie epidemic. Inside the bunker, tensions run high as the scientists, led by the eccentric Dr. Logan, also known as Dr. Frankenstein, conduct experiments on captive zombies in an effort to understand their behavior and find a cure. Meanwhile, the soldiers, weary and disillusioned, grow increasingly hostile towards the scientists and their futile efforts. Sarah, along with fellow scientists Dr. Fisher and Dr. McDermott, believes that the key to understanding the zombies lies in their ability to retain fragments of their former humanity. They form a bond with Bub, a zombie who exhibits signs of cognitive function and emotional responses. Sarah sees Bub as a potential breakthrough in their research, while Captain Rhodes and his soldiers view him as nothing more than a monster. As tensions escalate, the bunker becomes a powder keg of conflicts. Driven by his obsession with maintaining control, Captain Rhodes brutalizes the scientists and threatens to execute them if they fail to show progress. Desperate for a way out, Sarah, Fisher, and McDermott decide to escape the bunker in search of a safer place. In the ensuing chaos, the zombies breach the bunker's defenses and overrun the facility. The surviving group, including Sarah, Fisher, McDermott, and a few soldiers, make a daring escape to the surface. They discover a small underground facility where they can potentially start anew. However, the film ends on a somber note, as Sarah reflects on the bleakness of the world and the dwindling hope of finding a cure. She records her thoughts on tape, expressing her fear that the living might be outnumbered by the dead, and contemplates whether humanity is worth saving. Day of the Dead is a dark and introspective film that delves into the themes of human nature, the erosion of society, and the moral ambiguity that arises in desperate situations. It offers a grim portrayal of a post-apocalyptic world where survival is a constant struggle, and the line between the living and the dead becomes increasingly blurred. While less commercially successful than its predecessors, Day of the Dead has gained a cult following for its atmospheric tension, practical special effects, and its exploration of the human psyche in the face of overwhelming horror. Number 4. Resident Evil, 2002. Resident Evil, released in 2002 and directed by Paul W. S. Anderson, is a science fiction action horror film based on the popular video game franchise of the same name. The movie introduces the iconic character Alice and follows a group of individuals trapped in an underground research facility known as the Hive, where they must fight against hordes of zombies and other deadly creatures. The story begins when a deadly virus, known as the T-virus, is accidentally released in the Hive, a vast underground laboratory owned by the Umbrella Corporation. The virus quickly infects the facility, turning its employees and researchers into flesh-eating zombies. The Hive is sealed off, and the Red Queen, the facility's artificial intelligence, takes control, killing anyone who attempts to escape. Alice, played by Milla Jovovich, wakes up in a mansion with no memory of who she is or how she got there. She encounters a group of people who also have amnesia, including a police officer named Matt, a fellow amnesiac named Spence, and a team of commandos led by Rain. The group, guided by the enigmatic Red Queen, descends into the Hive to investigate the source of the outbreak and find a way out. As they navigate the labyrinthine corridors of the Hive, the group encounters various traps, zombies, and mutated creatures created by the T-virus. They gradually uncover the truth about the Umbrella Corporation's experiments and its intentions to weaponize the virus. The survivors face numerous challenges, including the relentless pursuit of the mutated monster known as the Licker and the deadly security measures implemented by the Red Queen. Along the way, they discover that one of them is a traitor, and their true identities and past connections are revealed. As the group reaches the heart of the Hive, they encounter the Red Queen's creator, Dr. Charles Ashford, who reveals that his daughter, Angela, is trapped in the facility. He offers to help them escape in exchange for rescuing his daughter. The group splits up, with Alice and Matt rescuing Angela while the others try to disable the Red Queen. In a climactic showdown, Alice confronts the traitor, who is revealed to be Spence, and battles him in a final confrontation. The group manages to disable the Red Queen, but before they can escape, they are attacked by the powerful Tyrant, a bioengineered super soldier. Alice fights the Tyrant and ultimately defeats it. In the end, Alice, Matt, and Angela escape the Hive just as it is destroyed in a massive explosion. However, they soon realize that the T-virus has escaped into the outside world, setting the stage for future installments in the franchise. Resident Evil sets the tone for the subsequent films in the series, blending action, horror, and sci-fi elements while staying true to the atmospheric and suspenseful nature of the original video games. It became a successful franchise, spawning several sequels and solidifying Milla Jovovich's portrayal of Alice as an iconic character in the world of video game adaptations.